This is the G Podcast with your host, Tommy B.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to episode 238 of This is the G Podcast. Yes. What's up, y'all? Of course, it's the first of fall, y'all, but it's still in the 90s. Go figure. We're in the South, but happy fall to everyone. Fall season's here. I'm happy. Each week we do news, politics, pop culture, that piping hot tea from the one and only Tonya B, who's in the building with us again. What's up, Tonya B? Yes. And of course, the one and only Talib Shabazz is in the building. Talib, you run DMC style today. You run DMC style today. Is that Adidas?
Yeah,
Go
man.
ahead.
Everybody knows about the three stripes.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. And, before we start, y'all, I do want to say happy Hispanic Heritage Month to our Latina, Latinx brothers and sisters. Thank you so much for supporting the show. If you check us out on every week, we appreciate you. Also, I got to say happy birthday. It's upcoming this week to good friend of the show, Shirley Jones of the Jones Girls. I think I got it right, but I'm pretty sure it's this upcoming week on my calendar. But happy birthday, Shirley Jones. Thank you so much for all you do, create and spreading joy throughout the nation on tour, doing her thing. And y'all, this happened this week.
Tito Jackson of the Jackson 5 suffered a fatal heart attack and passed away at the age of 70.
And we're of a certain age. And I will say this, if you're not from that era, I think it's difficult for the younger generation to understand the impact of the Jacksons on us growing up. I mean, the Jacksons were our Beatles.
Yes.
They were the black people's Beatles, cartoons, cereal,
Right.
Saturday morning,
The TV special.
Oh my God, Carol Burnett show.
And
Share.
female cousins' rooms,
Oh yes, yeah. I mean, it was. Go ahead, y'all.
You
Go ahead.
forgot that famous Jackson 5 poster.
Oh, which one?
The posters. Oh, any of them.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Any Jackson 5 poster.
Man, look, I had quite a few female cousins who were older than me. And there were two that used to battle over, oh no, it's Michael Jackson. No, it's Foster Silver. No,
Oh no, not that.
Jackson. So
Misdemeanor.
yeah. So
Well, his crimes were not a misdemeanor. Let's just say that. Foster. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Oh man, they grew up fast. I'll just leave it at that. That's a whole nother show. But I will say this, y'all. One of the best concerts I have ever gone to, and people ask me to this day, was the Triumph tour. Is that the one? Can you feel it? Was that Triumph?
What was the Victory? Or was it between the two?
I think that was Triumph because that was the Randy coming out.
yeah, that was right.
Yeah, it was in 1980 in Atlanta. It was at the Omni. It was a special concert for the missing and murdered kids.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I mean, they came in. Maynard Jackson was there. It was a big deal. It was the best concert to this day. There are only a few concerts that rival it. And when I was there, I really got a chance to see that Jackson mania. I mean, women almost jumping, falling off from the third level.
And it wasn't just young women. It wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
The women that were the ages of the group members.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that
Yep.
was
So as you leave, unfortunately, Tito got the brunt of a lot of, kind of just silly jokes. It was never hard, but man, hearing him dying at 70 was just like, wow, we're here. You know what I'm saying?
The thing was, Tito was that quiet guy. You notice Tito and Marlon were like the quiet guys. Jermaine wanted attention. He'd do whatever he could do. Michael didn't need it. But, they say Tito was the glue that kind of kept it all together. He was the quiet giant. And people, a lot of times neglect to remember how much of an accomplished guitar player he really was.
Yeah. And that's why I mentioned Can You Feel It? the video where he's shown. He was always shown with the guitar. Go to you, Talib. Go ahead.
I really just wanted to piggyback on what Tonya was saying. Is that and when he was, if you really look at it, he was the only member with an instrument until I think they gave Randy percussion, and then Michael or Jackie may have had a tambourine. But,
yeah, or they were, what's his name? Randy was playing percussion.
Exactly.
Yeah, he played for a while, but you had the anchors, Jermaine and Tito, the guitar players. Yeah.
So, absolutely. And from what I understand, Tito was actually a part of, when the musicians were recording, Tito would be sitting in with them. So it's, he's an accomplished musician. And I don't know if anybody's really checked out, some of the stuff that he put out, like in the last maybe 4 to 5 years. But, his little baby song, to me, for there to be like the Southern Soul wave right now, that song was definitely in there. And then, he was cousins with an artist that we're working with, Ice Buck. And Ice Buck has actually had Tito come in and play on one of his songs. So, I had an opportunity to meet Mr. Tito Jackson before he passed, and that was an awesome experience to watch him work. You know what I mean? And he did guitar and bass, and he was fluid, and he was, so I'm just, it's a little bit of a personal loss now. You know what I mean?
Understood.
But definitely, rest in peace.
Excellent. Good stuff. All right, y'all, let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to spend a lot of time. We'll wrap up some other stuff during the week that happened this week, but I want to get right into this. Here we go.
6 months after federal authorities raided his homes in Los Angeles and Miami, Sean Diddy Combs was denied bond Tuesday and is in custody. According to the now unsealed federal indictment, Combs faces charges of sex trafficking and racketeering. He allegedly also engaged in kidnapping, forced labor, bribery, and other crimes. The 54-year-old pleaded not guilty. Combs appeared in Manhattan federal court to face the charges. U.S. Attorney Damian Williams.
As alleged, Combs used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended sexual performances with male commercial sex workers, some of whom he transported or caused to be transported over state lines. Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called freak-offs.
Since last year, Combs has been sued by people who say he subjected them to physical or sexual abuse.
I want to do this real quick timeline, and I want to go to Tonya B and then, of course, Talib. I'm glad you guys are here because y'all have been, Talib, you on the retail side and radio side, and Tonya B, of course, on the radio side. I did radio, but when Combs was around doing this thing, I kind of shifted to another format or multiple formats that involved this, but not as intimately involved with the hip hop side. But November 16th, of course, you had the Cassie lawsuit on the 16th of 2023. The very next day, they settled. Then you got 2 more lawsuits on November 24th of 23. Then you got, he stepped down from Revolt, of course, at the end of November last year. He denied the allegations, if you remember, on December 6th. He just said none of this is true. The raids at his home happened in March of 2024. And then, of course, you had the Combs Rodney Jones stuff that really kind of went from February on to where we are now. The raids on his properties happened in March 25th. Then you had CNN publish the Cassie video back in May of this year. The Crystal McKinney lawsuit, May 22nd of this year. Howard University pulled his honorary degree on June 7th of this year. He said he was innocent, facing 8 lawsuits back in July. And, of course, that brings us to September, where he was a no-show. And you said, Tonya B, that the $100 million settlement or whatever it was, that was overturned. But,
that's the only thing. But one thing you forgot, and Howard University gave back the $1 million that he I don't know if he even got all of it to them, but he had pledged $1 million. They said they did a Bill Cosby, take back your money. We don't want it.
Yeah.
And the city, don't forget about that.
Oh, which one?
New York took back the key to the city.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They took back the key to the city. Another lawsuit, of course, this month, Don Richard. He's arrested the 16th and the 17th, denied bail. He's been denied bail 3 times as of the taping of this podcast. Tonya B, I'm going to go to you. And, of course, Talib, I want your insight into this. Where do you think this is headed?
It's a lot. It is really, it's shaking. Once again, I believe it is really shaking what's left of the music industry to its core, because you see people that somehow had some, even if a small connection to Puffy, they're suddenly resigning, and if they don't resign, they're being fired. You know, I just think he had the mindset of R. Kelly, where I'm untouchable. But, you know, you get to the point where when the feds come in, they watch you for a while. When they come in, they do not come to play. They're not going to come and put all that manpower and put all that time and effort into something like this, only to lose and to have him walk. R. Kelly thought he was untouchable as well. But it's interesting how when the money gets short and people get mad, they really start talking. You know, and people just like R. Kelly people, these people are going to start talking to avoid prosecution, because they were basically accessories before, during, and after the fact. Yeah,
so true. I want to go to you, Talib, on this. Where do you think it's headed, man, based on everything we just went over?
Well,
yeah. It's not looking good for a lot of people. You know, that's the thing about this, what could be revealed and what will be revealed, and then what should be revealed in this whole matter. You know what I mean? There's a lot of different layers to it, because of the fact that there were always rumors, but nothing was ever brought to light. So there are a lot of people who have heard about this behavior going on, but none of the people who spread the rumors were on the inside and did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the rumors have to come from somewhere. Knowing the music industry and knowing, you know, what a blatant casting couch used to be, that used to be prevalent in the industry. I mean, are we surprised?
No.
You know what I mean?
I'm not.
No.
I'm not saying that the casting couch doesn't go on in every industry. Now that I've seen other industries, I see that, there are people who are definitely willing to sleep their way and use, you know, use people's vices in order to get business done.
Yeah.
So,
and you know what? Let me say this to that, Talib.
Yeah.
I think, you know, they were talking about, you talk about R. Kelly and you talk about Diddy. One of the things I think that separates Diddy and R. Kelly had mind control over the victims, the women. You know, to the fact, and let me say, to the point where a lot of the women who were in that cult, whatever, the sex cult in these houses, they were denying their families' efforts to get them out of it.
Right.
You know, with this was coercion. You know, this was blackmail. It was, coercion is probably the biggest word, because, you know, and the blackmail, because in a lot of cases, a lot of these people were on video, and, you know, he taped everything, and he was, according to the suit, the indictment, in a lot of cases, he was using it against the sex workers to keep them moving forward. Yeah. And the other thing, I don't know if you saw the TikTok, and I don't know what year it was from, but where you saw Kevin Hart was on the mic and the girls were in the tub and the girl's hair catches on fire. There were a lot of incidents that occurred where people were getting hurt, people were getting maimed, people were in situations where, you know, the Cassie video did not help the situation that CNN released. So, you know, I think it's going to be slightly different, but I agree with you. In terms of, comparing it to R. Kelly, but I think the coercion and the mob feel of this, so it leans toward Epstein to me.
Okay.
It leans very close to Epstein.
So
go ahead.
This is what I'm saying. And
no, you're right. You're right. I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing.
So coercion is coercion.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's a man manipulating young women around him using money or his celebrity or, just his good game is the same type of coercion that it takes for a music mogul to get 80% of your publishing.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
I call it MIP, music industry pimping.
Yeah. Straight up.
Absolutely. And you know what? That's the biggest word that I hear, that I see when you look at this. I'm like, damn, this dude is like the Mac.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
he thought he was a
Let me say this. People who are manipulators,
Yeah.
like an R. Kelly and a Puffy, and there are others, and some of them I know, I won't say their names, and I have no fear of them, but they're just not worth the power right now.
Right.
Yeah.
They know how to hone in on people's weaknesses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the people that were in that situation with Puffy wanted to be, their weakness was they wanted to be in the room.
They wanted to be
or
there.
They wanted to be famous, or they wanted
Right.
to be a star. Or some of these girls, they wanted to get pregnant by him or somebody in the room so they could they could flat back it for the next 18 years.
Right.
And people that's manipulation, whether it's mental manipulation. And I think R. Kelly might have taken it to a higher level than Puffy, but I think both of them have a lot of commonalities in the way that they did. Because R. Kelly, remember, he was threatening people with the text messages. They set the girl's house and the girl's car on fire.
Right.
Puffy would be
Here's the
threatening
ring of it.
people. Even Sean said how he came. No, I'm sorry, the Craig Mack video. How he was planning. He went to meet with Puffy, who had threatened him when he wanted out. And all the guns that they found, that was also manipulation.
Okay.
And terroristic
So,
threats,
Not
So
meaning to cut your wisdom. Not meaning
Hang
to
on.
cut your wisdom.
Go ahead.
Really.
Talib, I can't hear you. Go one more
okay.
time.
It's like this. Two Live Crew said it best. No ass bitch, no backstage pass.
Yeah.
And that's what this whole thing comes down to. So ass, and there was another expression, I believe I was maybe about 7 when I heard this first one. It was ass, gas, or cash, but nobody rides for free.
Yep.
So let's find out what tool people were using in order to get where they were trying to go.
Yeah.
And what people were willing to do in order to be where they thought it was going to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is a culture that has been prevalent for centuries. And he's the latest one to play Caligula.
Yeah.
Because I let you know,
Caligula it is,
I'm
based
got-
on
Yeah.
some of the stuff you were hearing.
I'm doing some night school instructor stuff now, and my students are between the ages of like 19 and 29 for the most part. All they're talking about are how many bottles of lube and dildos were found on the premises. Now, I don't even know if that's really a part of the news story.
It is. It's coming up.
But, whose Costco membership was used?
Yeah, you're right. What's the lady's? Let me ask you. What's the lady's name? He calls her KK, the one who coordinated, who basically will go down as Giselle's. Like Giselle was the Epstein.
That was his assistant of 20 years. So again, look, somebody like her, she was complicit. A lot of them will do that. People look just like R. Kelly, and whether it was his assistant or his what do you call it, security, whatever, they look the other way for the bag.
Yeah. Agreed.
And that's the problem as well.
I got one.
Go ahead, Talib.
I got one last thing to ask, really. When are we going to start talking about Clive Davis?
Well, that's funny. I mean, Tonya B and I were texting back and forth, and there's a TikTok that's floating where he's engaged on a I guess he's going into a building, and a TikToker filmed him and asked him the question, what do you think about it? And I think at first he said P. Diddy or whatever, one of the older names, and Clive is like looking at him like, who's that?
Who's that? Yeah. He had selective amnesia.
Yeah, but I do think, Talib, that this is going to be for the industry people who were engaged and know and complicit. they're all shaking in their boots right now because this New York DA and his team, which is funny because, well, it's not funny, but the team is like all white women. You know, it's crazy. It's like, you know, you see, I don't know if you saw the press conference. It's the black guy who is the DA talking about the charges in SDNY. And then you've got this line of women who are assisting him on the case. And I'm here to tell you, if you saw Me Too, if you saw the Me Too movie, you know, I just don't think, you know, and I'm not going to say unfortunately because Combs knew this was potentially going to come back on him, that he has no way out of this. And if there is a way out, it strips him of every asset he has. If there is a way out.
So if there are any assets left, but I'm saying, you know, when you don't, like R. Kelly, when the money runs out, you can no longer buy your way out. You cannot pay people to be silent.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I compare it to Epstein. But go ahead, Talib.
So let me get this straight. Are you saying because, you know, there's also talk that he's a federal informant as well?
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing. So, you know, that's why I say Epstein, because the people who know what he knows want him gone. Right. And in a lot of cases, that's why he's on watch. Right,
exactly. So now we're talking about the whole, I mean, you know, as a quick side note, now we're talking about, you know, I bet you since they're bringing up the RICO stuff, now they're even going to be looking to tie BMF or some of these other syndicates to Puff now as well. You know what I mean?
Don't forget,
especially because of the party skirt. You know what I mean?
Because in the 90s, when BMF was down here turning Atlanta on its edge, that was also the height of the bad boy era.
Yeah. All right, y'all. You know, I agree. You know, again, you know, I think this is quote unquote no way out. He's currently on, I mean, they say suicide watch. His attorney, I think, is denying his mental state because a lot of people are saying, you know, mentally he's out of it. And his attorney said, no, he's fine. He's coping. They keep denying bail because they feel he's a flight risk. But I will tell you, I think the biggest thing that's going to come out of this are the people listed, are the people on the list. Because the interesting thing, on the day that he was arrested, the number of people who actually resigned from situations, and you know, one of the first people was Kevin Liles. Of course, if you've been in the industry, we all know who that is. But I'm just saying, not implicating, but I'm just saying, a lot of it was timing, the timing of the resignations, the list of men who were on the list of resignations. It was suspect to me. Talib, one last thing. Go ahead.
So really, I just wanted to kind of say it like this, you know, from the way that things are unfolding, this looks like he may have been compromised as early as the whole New York basketball game thing. You know what I mean? Because really, he never, you know, he was able to skate from that with just a couple of lawsuits. And from what I understand, what the last of the lawsuits was only settled maybe like less than 10 years ago, you know, in something of a more recent time frame from when that happened. So, you know, I'm just like, somebody set him up to be this guy. And he was a willing participant in it to enjoy, you know, 30 years of lavish living. But like at the end of every faulty contract, you know what I mean? Everything comes due.
Yeah.
And this is,
but I do. I'm with you
right now.
I'm with you, Talib, with the question about Davis, and I'm gonna leave it at that because we have no documented evidence or any firm evidence of anything other than the fact that they were close and he was co-founder. But I do believe that what we see to come is going to rock the industry to its core. I really think so.
And, you know,
go ahead.
No, I'm saying when you see, there are these tapes that have these alleged freak off tapes now that, people are buying and they're being sold on the dark web for 6 to 7 figures. But I had privy to a couple of lists, one I shared with you all, but when you look at the names of the people who are on these lists, some of whom have gone missing in action. And then I say again, why do you think Farnsworth Bentley stopped carrying that umbrella for Puffy? He got off that Titanic and went about his way. Puffy probably blackballed him, but he got out of the industry. But I'm saying, you can't tell me he doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
I mean, when you got, I'm saying, may I just say allegedly, but there are some people who've talked about it already. Everybody knows that Puffy was very close to people like Andre Harrell and Aaron Hall and Stevie J and Eve. And then there's one, this is an interesting theory I hear that's floating around. There's, so much innuendo and assumption. But if there was someone who's at a very high level that has higher level people supporting them, and they're on this freak off tape, I'm not naming any names, but if Puffy wouldn't give up the goods, they may have had some alleged involvement in bringing down this house of cards, because they didn't want their activities on the freak off tape to be exposed. When I'm saying what's interesting also now, I'm waiting for Lifetime to do something, but I heard that 50 Cent has been collecting information for the last 10 years.
Yeah, he just, as a matter of fact, he just sold it to Netflix.
Yeah, so yeah. I wondered when he would do it, because every hour you turn around, you've got to update it and add something else. But he's kind of been, for whatever reason, gunning for this one for a while. And then there's this Kim Porter book, Kim's Last Words, that have this book allegedly resurfaced again. It was only 60 pages. I was told it was on Amazon. I couldn't find it, but some of the things that were in there would make you give somebody the side eye going, did she really die of pneumonia? Because she had allegedly copied some of these tapes as well, and was in some of those tapes. So she really knew what was going on, because she was made to participate.
Yeah.
Just like
I got one last question, and it's related to some extent. We just, this week, Atlantic Records, a major label, of course, going back to Aretha, as far as black artists, and before that, Ray Charles, dropped 50 black artists. And quite frankly, what a lot of people are saying, it's going to be a trend in the industry where a lot of these majors are just dropping and getting away from black artists. And I'll start with you, Talib. Jump in on this, and of course, I know you got an opinion on it, Tonya B. But
no, I don't.
How much of this do you think comes down to people just saying looking at the Puffy situation and saying, look, if they ain't making money for me right now, I don't want the liability. Talib.
Yeah. Okay. Listen, everybody is running scared right now. Everybody who's ever seen or heard or been party to, any of these alleged incidents, and I'm not even just talking about the drug-fueled sex parties, because it seems like that 4-word term is being thrown around like crazy these days. The guy from New York Board of Health guy got that caught on tape talking about how he was having drug-fueled sex parties with his wife and some friends during COVID, and now Matt Gaetz is back in the press, for his drugs-fueled sex party. And I'm just telling you, this is the new trend right now, and this is what we're going to see. But in terms of what people are going to do about this Puffy thing, I think that everybody's going to be starting to get their ducks in a row. The people, people who were really involved. You're going to see more firings. You're going to see more people kind of running scared, and then it's not looking good for your boy. But I'm telling you, if you want to get to the heart of it, you get that dude who was funding Sean John and all these other companies. You got to follow the money. You got to look at Clive. Clive took out. So many people under Clive have gone mysteriously. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Phyllis, Whitney. You know what I mean? Like, yo, man, this dude is a wrecking ball. And now, if he's had Puppy up under his thumb for all this time, I'm telling you, it's not looking good. But it's also going to show how serious they are to get to the whole thing, because if they're really going to root it out, these roots run deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll keep you abreast. From Epstein Island to Puffy Island.
Hey, I heard they're trying to get,
quite frankly,
they're trying to kick him off of Star Island in Miami. He's bad for the neighborhood.
Wow. But I look. I mean, there's going to be some singing.
Oh,
It's going to be. Let me just say, singing like a bird.
The first person to sing gets the best deal, and I would say,
singing.
Like that inner circle, like the assistant, like the bodyguard, those people, like I think there was even some incidents with one of his chefs who witnessed some, and it's a shame. They, just like R. Kelly, they stayed for the bag. And now this woman that was his publicist that quit, she shut down everything. Email, social media, everything. Don't tell me she doesn't know, because she was the one that was crafting this artificial image, if you will. Yeah. Doing so good, doing this, doing that. And see, the deeper they try to dig, like Talib was saying about this whole thing, about the whole Sean John thing in that company with the guns. Interesting is he was found with all those guns. That was a front.
With the scraped off serial numbers.
Yeah. They had to come. They didn't come from Mookie's car wash. Come on.
Yeah, so true. All right, y'all. We'll keep you posted on that. But let's go from one freak off in the music industry to the freak off in politics. Mark Robinson, what's his name? I just call him the Black Nazi. Well, let's, for the sake of the podcast, calls himself the Black Nazi for one thing, and he has adamantly denied that these are not his words. He did not say it. Nude Africa website came up. I'm like, damn, when the last time you heard Nude Africa? What? Black people know about Nude Africa.
It's still a domain. Oh, but you know what?
Yes, it is. I mean, people. I'm like, wasn't that in the 80s, the 90s, but it was. He, according to CNN, it happened, I guess, 10 years ago. He referred to himself as a Black Nazi. He admitted he's pro-slavery. Despite all his anti-trans rhetoric at these churches, he mentioned publicly, on the website, how much he enjoyed trans and porn, and just made some crazy statements and went on and on. He denies that his full name, CNN has it published that his full name was listed in the profile. The profile of the alias was Mini Soldier, spelled SOLDR. Most of the comments, basically go against the public stance he's taken as lieutenant governor. That's what a lot of people were saying. It's an act. He's just a grifter. What's that? And of course, he's got an Ashley Madison profile. He's calling all this right now. He's denying, saying it's tabloid trash. Trump has been endorsing him and standing behind him. As a matter of fact, called him MLK, Martin Luther King on steroids. And it reminds me, I don't know if it was you who said this on the text. He is the Clayton Bigsby, in the Chappelle show, the world's first black white supremacist. He is, for my Boondocks fans, he is purely Uncle Ruckus. He is like Uncle Ruckus on steroids. But I gotta go. I'm sorry. It's just like between this guy and Kanye. Can you imagine the conversation? Can you just imagine it? But I do want to start with you, Tonya B, and I want to ask y'all. It's because I've got a thought and a theory on this, but what pushes black leadership, and I won't say leadership because he was in a lieutenant governor's role in North Carolina, to go this route. Republican men, some women like Candace Owens. You see Candace Owens is saying some of this stuff. What puts them in this frame of mind?
I'll just say that this dude, to me, is a combination of George Santos and Herschel Walker. If you think about it. George Santos, he couldn't tell the truth if you put it in front of him, and Herschel Walker was just dumb as a box of rocks. My opinion, not that of his podcast. And you wonder, like, I mean, I know mental illness is real,
Yeah.
but it's like, how do you twist your mouth to say that when people had the receipts? But it's like, it's almost like he drank the Trump Kool-Aid. It never existed. I didn't say it. But you know what? Now, let him stay and keep doing that, because if he's going to be the reason that North Carolina flips for Kamala, let him stay there.
Yeah, yeah. He's already down in the polls.
But someone like him is truly, they are dangerous. They are really dangerous.
Yeah. Talib, you got any thoughts?
Boy, do I. He's a fool. You know, that's the way my grandmother from Wetumpka, Alabama would put it. You know,
Yeah.
he's a fool, and she would give a little extra emphasis on the F. You know, I mean, this guy. I mean, what did he? He probably he was mad at the fact that he missed out on the Black Planet wave. So when he heard about Nude Africa, he just couldn't resist. You know what I mean? Like.
But
Yo, man.
I know. Hey, Talib, let me say this. I know black people everywhere we say like, Nude Africa.
He learned about it from Tim Scott. Come on.
Yo, look, I'm telling. Listen. Perverts are always going to be able to find perverted stuff. You know what I mean? Straight up. So you know where he got it from? He got it from a pervert friend of his. And he didn't know about it. You know, and I'm sure he spread it to a whole lot of other of his perverted friends.
Yeah.
You know, so
It's you know what's funny about that, man? I'm catching up. I missed the first wave. There's a show called Evil that used to be on CBS Paramount, and now it's on Netflix. And it's of course I'm in the horror genre, so it's kind of like in that. But it's interesting because they deal with some real life stuff. And one of the things they said is exactly what you said. When a girl had to pull some stuff off a website, and the guys who's influenced by evil, the devil, he said, great. He said, because when you hide the perversion, more people want it. More people will, you're going to sell more.
true.
And, and so, I think personally, I mean, and I don't say it's personally, I think for each individual, if that's your thing, that's your thing. People are into that. They're into the slave, I ain't got to go into it. There's a slave play, people do that. But I'm just saying, if that's just you, and that's your, your kink, and that's the thing you do, that's cool. That's you. But when you are lieutenant governor and that's part of your platform and you're out here going to these white evangelical churches, the white evangelical churches and the racists love these Clayton Bigsbys. They embrace them because they say the stuff that they can't say publicly. The Uncle Ruckuses, when black people say this stuff, I mean, excuse me, Tonya B, they dicks get hard because they're standing there like, oh, damn, I want to say, but the black men can say all day. They want them to say it. The Candace Owens, the Kanyes, they love it. They eat it up. And that's why, quite frankly, the Candace Owens, the Black Nazi, Kanye, when they are, how do you call it, casted out, and they're not making money with black people, this is how they go. This is where they go. The reason Candace Owens has not always been who she is. She didn't start this way. She wasn't making any money that way. The what do you call it? The leftist liberal, because it was too crowded.
Right. And
so they go.
Stole it.
Yeah. So they go where it's less crowded for black people, and this is what you get. So I do think it's over, regardless of what he says. He's not going to win North Carolina. I don't know how much that's going to impact Kamala or the down ballot Democrats in North Carolina. But I do believe he's done. And I'll go to you, Tully. Go ahead. You got your finger up.
Yeah, man. I just want to say, man, this is what the Trump effect in politics is going to be looking like, and we're going to have about 20 more years of this crap. I'm not expecting people to be perfect. What I am expecting, though, is if you're going to be putting yourself in the public space, you're not putting your kinks out there to let everybody think that your kink is cool. Your kink
don't
is
run
not
for politics.
When it
Go ahead,
comes to public
Right,
office.
what's the dog catcher?
I'm looking for people who either don't have the crazy kinks. I want somebody, or at least is going to be smart enough not to put their real name out there and then thinking they're going to run for some kind of public office. I don't care what you do in your bedroom. I don't want to know what you're doing in your bedroom. But if you put yourself out here for public consumption, I need you to be squeaky clean or damn near close to it. Because we need some people with some damn morals that want to speak for everybody. You and your kinks don't speak for everybody. And if you're trying to, I'm tired of this crap. You know what I mean? This big ass burly black guy getting up there, he's bald, and he's going to be loud, and got the nerve and the audacity to stand in the house of the Lord and say some people deserve killing? Yeah. What kind of monster are you? You know what I mean? Like, really? Get the fuck out of here. Fuck out of here with that shit.
You got it.
Yeah.
I echo. Go ahead.
No, he maybe he's speaking into his, you know how they say you speak it into existence? You know, you got to be careful what you say, boy.
But, Tonya B, Talib, and I'm glad you said that, Talib. I think, you're absolutely right. And that's why, for me, you and I, Talib, we have this conversation every week about politicians and how they avoid, of course, you have your thing with Kamala. I've got my things with the Democratic Party. Right. I've had my issues with a lot of just politicians, because I tell people, we have to get away from the cult of personality and back to people doing their jobs. When a person runs for president or they run for any office, of course you want them to pay attention to your issues. If you're in the black community, you definitely want them to acknowledge, hey, I'm looking out for your interest, everybody's interest, but definitely I come from who you are. I want to definitely make sure you're okay. You're a big constituency. But on the other hand, I think they're just, when it comes down to these Clayton Bigsby's, they're grifters, 100% grifting. And I go back to, I'm not going to say her name, but you know who she is. I mean, these people, it's a grift. But unfortunately, that's why I want to get beyond the Trump era, because it's become kind of like Amway, and
but you know what it is.
It has become the Amway of America.
And I'm glad you said that, because you think about it, and, as much of a moron as Herschel Walker was, and you got Tim Scott and you got Big Baby Jesus over here. That's, again, like George Santos, that is their grift. Yeah. Because they'll go out and raise enough money to live off for the next 4 or 5 years, because they know they're not going to win. But there's always that little piece of the common denominator of people that have 3 teeth and a 3rd grade education and a 2nd grade reading level that will give them part of their check every month, even if it's $5 a month. And then when they lose, they get to keep all the money.
Yeah, and that's why, the Jill Steins of the world. I mean, I'm not going to get into it. I went off on that last week, but I'm like, look, if you're just grifting, if you're just making money on it, you're not trying to help anybody. Just get out. And this stuff that now we're hearing about, RFK and his craziness has boiled over.
That's a family
it's just, for me, it's like, look, just get out of politics. Right. But if there's anything I ever agree with Bernie Sanders, I would like to see politics go back to being boring again. Yeah. Let's just go back to policy discussions. Right. Let's just go back to debating policy. Let's get away from of course I want to real quick shout out my our TikTok folks, because they are again TikTok, I don't know, YouTube, I won't get into it, but TikTok is engaged and they make comments. People, we're talking about, because I made a Jill Stein comment and somebody said, well, Democrats are in bad shape, but it's politics in general. It's not just it's Democrats and Republicans. Money, the grift that's all it is, and the black money. Until we really get away from all the anonymous money that goes to these people that they don't have to report or divulge, we're going to keep having this. Quite frankly, we're going to keep having it. I'll go to you, Talib. You had a thought, and then we'll get down to your thoughts for the week. I got one more thing, but we'll get to your thoughts. For the week. Go ahead.
To be honest, I forgot my train of thought. So just fuck out of here. That's what I want to say.
Hey, you know what? I applaud you. That is absolutely. And so you know what? I think it's time we got to move away, and that's not just black people, but that's white people too. Acknowledge, and I'm gonna say this last thing about this, and we got to move on. Evangelical community, please, white evangelical community, you look more and more like Pharisees every minute. Every minute, And it makes it difficult. People wonder why millennials and Gen Zs aren't embracing the church, the traditional church, because they can see through this.
They're hypocrites.
When you stand up and you don't basically slap these people on the hand or walk away from them when they say things or when they do things, and you keep supporting them. Would you, as a young person? I was smart enough to know. What are we doing? That's what the church is all about?
That's another grift. It's another grift. So it's like this is like politics in the praisers. This is like the modern day Madoff.
Yeah, I agree.
It really
all right, so hey, I do want to just real quick. I want to play a clip and let's get your 1 minute close, or I want to get we can go over a little bit. But I want to get what's on your mind that came up this week. But I want to start with this.
In Michigan, the Harris campaign held a huge live stream event Thursday evening to boost turnout with help from Oprah Winfrey. The vice president has been trying to introduce herself to voters who may not know much about her and told Oprah why she decided to run.
I felt a sense of responsibility, to be honest with you. And with that comes a sense of purpose.
And let me say this. Regardless of where you stand, how you feel, that production was well done.
It was. I watched.
It was. It made you feel. A lot of people had turned on Oprah, but it made you kind of put you back into Oprah's heyday with the way it was produced. No, I'm not saying because everybody, Oprah can, you know what I'm saying about Oprah. She's kind of, thrown a few knives in our backs over the years, but I will say. Her support of this campaign to move, because all she's doing is supporting it to move away from Trump. That's what a lot of people are saying. The other thing is Kamala Harris said something at the town hall, and honestly, I hope she wouldn't apologize for it when she said, if you come in my house, you're going to get shot. Yes, I would expect that.
Ask Nancy Pelosi.
I would say, and I wanted to say, and I'm sitting there watching it, and I said, look, damn, you were a DA. What is it? You're an attorney general. You're in charge of the police, and, hell yeah, I would expect you to have a gun. Yeah. So my whole thing was, I thought it was well done. I thought it was well produced. Kudos to them for making the effort to do it. But Talib and I have had this conversation. And Talib, you've really been hard on the campaign, but I think you need to be doing stuff like this with an audience, a town hall. No more debates. Just do town halls just like this, well produced, where the shit ain't dropping out, and you don't. This was well produced. This was just stellar. I'm a Stella Funk. This was stellar. Harpo. This was like Harpo in its day. You had Meryl Streep popping up. You had, Julia Roberts popping up. Who else popped up? I forgot who was popping. They just, but my whole point is you had who didn't pop up. But I will say, I think white women are trying to make up for what happened to Hillary back in 2016. This week you had, what's her name? The singer. What's her name? Her and her brother. The big
Phineas and Billie Eilish.
You had Billie Eilish, step out and endorse. So I do think that white women, and I want to say this: the white women who have dropped the ball, not all of them, but the ones who have dropped the ball, I will say they are trying to make amends for 2016, and I think that's going to make a difference this year. The other thing, real quick, and I'll go to you guys. I'll throw it to you. 2 names you need to know: Amber Thurman, Candy Miller, both from Georgia. both lost their lives due to abortion restrictions. That was a big deal this week. I'm going to put the article from Slate in our podcast notes. It's titled "The Death of Two Mothers in Georgia Shows the ending of Roe was never about life." I agree. All about politics and power. Again, I posted. I'm going to have the article in our podcast notes. I'll go to you, Talib. What you got?
Is this just my little 1 minute for the day?
Yeah. Oh, closing out. Well,
you know,
it ain't little, man.
Well, you know, I like to look for interesting headlines, and while I was looking for interesting headlines, I came across this article, and I just decided to go with this. A 70-year-old owner of an apartment came home one night. He lives in Rome, Italy, and he found somebody reading a book. The BBC reported on the 24th of August that the would-be burglar claims he broke into the building to visit someone else and simply found himself in the wrong unit. But spotting the owner had a copy of the book, The Gods at 6 O'Clock, which is a retelling of the Iliad, the 38-year-old settled in for a story time.
I don't know where you'd be getting this stuff, man. What you reading, like the Tales from Beyond? Here you go. That's gonna be your new segment. With the echo. Tales from Beyond. No. What else you got, man? All right. And this has been Tales from Beyond.
Who comes behind that?
You. What you got? Tonya B.
I have some positive news. One thing is that that Luther documentary, Never Too Much, that went to Sundance and all the film festivals. It's going to be in theaters November 1st. November 1st, it'll be in theaters, and in January of 2025, it'll be on CNN. The trailer's already out there. I'm so excited. It's about time. And Luther, we can see the parts of Luther that a lot of us didn't know about. The other thing is that Will Smith, I guess he's not going to be in front of the camera, but behind it, he's one of the people, with a couple of coins that's going to be involved in the production of a biopic about Queen Latifah. And I'm thinking, who could play her? And I thought Lady of Rage, who did a good job in the Miss Cleo movie. But I think that'll be good. I know Latifah will make sure it is authentic. And then lastly, we were talking about the election. I want to say 5 on it too. Kerry Washington, Tony Golan, and the crew from Scandal, they're getting out on the reproductive tour, leading up to the election, as well as Stevie Wonder. He has a song out, and it's a good song, but it's really kind of depressing. But it's, Healing Our Nation's Broken Heart. He's doing 10 concerts, mostly in battleground states leading up to the election. And then he said he's going to do his farewell tour, and that's going to be it for little Stevie Wonder. But, he's going to, he's coming to Atlanta, Georgia. He's going to North Carolina. He's going to Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. He's going to, Michigan's a battleground state. He's doing 2 concerts in Michigan. So it's only a 10 spot. But, I'm glad to see him doing something, because all he really is known for is either, like Fingertips and Hotter Than July. And, he's done more than just be, the impetus behind MLK Day. But he's a very quiet philanthropist and activist. He doesn't need to be all up in the video, but he is coming out and doing this 10-city tour leading up to the election. So 5 on it for that. I think that's a ticket that will be worth it.
Yeah,
I agree. Making that publishing.
He doesn't have much hair left to braid either. You know what I mean?
He's wearing kufis now. He's gonna be wearing a kufi, he's wearing kufis now. Yeah, and he wears the big bandanas. Yeah. His hairline. Let me be quiet. Okay.
Yeah. Is he still living on Jobet? That. Is that the publishing name? He's still living off that publishing money real quick.
And if you think about it, if you have that, and remember, he's one of the first artists to fight, and he bucked up against Berry Gordy. But I think Stevie Wonder had the vision of where this might, the industry might go, maybe not where it is today. But, again, if you got your publishing, you can lay in bed. You can not get out of bed till 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon if you don't want to. You don't have to get out of bed. You are going to make some money. And that's why, really. So for him, it might be okay. Let me get a little money to, KJLH needs some new carpet. Let me go out here and do some concerts and renovate my radio station, you know.
Yeah, so true, so true. Hey, we love your thoughts. Go to Castropolis.net, choose the people poll, leave us a voicemail. I'll play back the best. And don't forget, y'all, support the podcast. You can give at Castropolis.net. You can subscribe at Castropolis.net. Help us continue to grow, and it's all at Castropolis.net. And finally, if you listen to the show, now you can watch us. If you're not, we're on TikTok, full episodes, YouTube, and also Spotify video. But our usual audio locations are there. We appreciate those who still support us in audio, but you can also watch us. Big thanks to Tonya B. Thank you, Tonya B, for doing your thing every single week. Shout out to Vi, the country commentator. I hope your dogs win, whatever. But, I do hope they win. Talib, again, thank you again for all you do. And I got to say one thing before I close, and I didn't want to go into this and get and raise Talib's blood pressure. But y'all, and I do want to talk about it next week because I'm waiting to see who takes credit for these bombings, these exploding pagers, and these exploding walkie-talkies. I agree with AOC completely on this. This is dangerous. It sets a very bad precedent when it comes down to engagement in war. It does. And not only does it piss me off as someone who funds the people who are probably behind this, but I think we're getting dragged more and more into a war. We are. We're going to be involved in what's going to become a regional war, and we need to really wake up and understand that this is a dangerous situation because it's very easy for somebody to do that to us. It's very easy with the way we carry iPhones around, and I wouldn't say we carry pagers, but I do the way we carry phones, all these devices. It could very easily happen to us. Okay, that's responsibility for the killers and the bad guys, but the collateral damage is a problem. It's a problem. All right. Again, y'all, we appreciate it. Episode 238's in the can. Have a great week, y'all. And as always, say peace and power to the people. Have a great week.
Power. Shout out to my sisters. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to This is the G Podcast. This is the G Podcast is a production of the Castropolis Podcast Network. Thanks for listening.